Hey guys, I'm Dwayne Becker and I'm a mortgage agent and investor. And today we're speaking with Bruce Smith of Cash Management Group. And he's based in London for the last 20 years with a focus on private financing as an accredited lender. Bruce holds a Bachelor of Business Management degree and is a real estate investor himself. He has also contributed to publications such as London Magazine, Enterprise Magazine, Canadian Mortgage Professional, and The Londoner. We welcome Bruce to our conversation. How are you today?
Thank you, Dwayne. Glad to be here.
So, today we're going to discuss, should you be dealing directly with a bank or should we be talking to a mortgage broker? What's your opinion on that topic?
Well, I guess I'm kind of biased, but I say when you're dealing with a mortgage broker, he already knows the answers to the test. So to me, when I see investors struggle, they're going to the bank, they get asked questions they don't have the answers for, they don't have their numbers, their ducks lined up, I like to call it. They don't have, net worth statements prepared. They've got issues with their credit. They don't understand the loan to values that the lenders are offering. They don't really know the rules of the lender, but a mortgage broker has the answers to the test. Every lender you go to, what loan to value they're going to lend on, what credit scores, income, that type of thing. So I'm not sure why people wouldn't use a mortgage broker as opposed to going to the bank directly. And I've heard other seminars where people say, well, yeah, I always insure my mortgages with CMHC because I get a better rate and I'll pay a premium for that. But then they won't pay a premium to use a mortgage broker who can get them a better rate than they could going to their bank directly. Like, I'm always confident in a mortgage broker. If I'm dealing with TD, I can go off the street and go to TD and they're going to quote me a rate. I go to a mortgage broker, they can get me a better rate than I can, with TD. And people say, well, how is that? Well, because I'm only one deal to TD and you're worth, 20 deals or 50 deals to TD. So of course they're going to give you better financing rates than they're going to offer me. So for me, there's not a lot of advantages to going to the bank directly, and I would use a mortgage broker, and not just for rate, because the mortgage broker gives me a strategy. I think investors too, they're short-sighted. They're worried about, I'm going to lend, I'm trying to get financing on this deal. Well, you shouldn't be thinking about that. It's, how am I financing today to help me qualify for the next deal? Because if you're going to do it in a serious way, you're always looking to expand, then I want to structure myself so I'm good moving forward. So in that case, the mortgage broker, develops a strategy for them as well. So that's the reasons I would be using a mortgage broker.
Okay. Now, mortgage broker, do they work for any bank specifically, or?
Well, no, they don't. The advice is independent. So if I go to TD Bank, they've got TD money. That's all they can offer me is TD money. I go to a mortgage broker, they can offer me money from anybody. So the advice is unbiased. So you would get paid whether you take me to TD, Scotia, or some other lender that no one's ever heard of, except you know them. You're going to get paid the same. So your advice is unbiased. You're going to put me in the best situation for me. And then I'm not banging my head. I've got to go to Scotia and I've got to go to TD and I've got to go to CIBC and I got to go to RBC and I'm going to create 5 different applications and try to play them off against each other. That's what you do for a living. You just you can look at it and say, okay, here's the offers from these banks on this day. TD's got the best rate. Let's try TD. So again, there's just a lot of time savings as well. So again, if you're a busy investor, you should appreciate the time savings as well.
And would a broker so a bank employee or the person at the bank doing the mortgages, are they licensed or?
I got to start it. Well, I'm going to chuckle because you can be a bank teller one day and doing mortgages the next day. So there is no licensing required within the branch. I know as you as a mortgage broker, you need to be licensed, take courses, be licensed. Anybody can sell within the bank the same way they could sell you mutual funds. Again, they can be the teller one day and then selling you mutual funds the next day. Like, what training do you have to this? And it's pretty obvious when you deal with a branch level, the quality of employee isn't as strong as outside, within the mortgage broker community. And again, there are some excellent people working in the banks. Don't get me wrong. There's some really good people, but usually what happens if you're a really good mortgage broker at the bank, then you leave the bank and you start your own practice because you'll make a lot more money being self-employed than you will working through your bank. So I always say the best people tend to leave, the banks, and they're now independent mortgage brokers. So
What's some other advantages of working with a broker over a banker? So we have access to, so you've got access to different A lenders. What if it's not an A deal?
well, that's another thing. Like, what does your bank tell you? Like, I can't help you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because they don't have access to other lenders. They don't have any other products they can sell you. So they might have a name. They might say, yeah, you can call Joe over here. But even a lot of the bankers, they don't want to give a reference because they're worried, well, if it goes bad or something, then I'm going to be, badly reflected on me. So, you're just a number to the bank. They're not really, you're just one of, millions of customers. There's not that personal relationship. And people say, well, I've had a personal relationship with my banker for 10 years. Well, what does that do for you? It doesn't do anything for you. It just comes down to the numbers at the end of the day. They're order takers. They're not underwriting. The underwriting is done at head office. So they're just taking your data and submitting it to head office. Someone else is making that decision. So that personal relationship with your banker, I don't think means a lot. And chances are they're not there next week when you go back to the branch anyways, because they move their people around. So yeah, it's very unusual that the banker's been there for many, many years. Sometimes they are, but a lot of times, yeah, it's a new face every time you go in. At least your mortgage broker, you can find a good one and have them for life, and they'll always be there to help you out.
And whose interest does a mortgage broker work in?
Well, the mortgage broker has a dual interest. They obviously are working for you. So that's, their priority is to find you the best deal, but they're also working for the lender to make sure it's a good fit for the lender. And that's what people need to understand, that, yeah, you're not, you're doing a disservice to the lender if you're sending a lender deals that they have no interest in funding. That's part of your job to understand that. So yeah, you are working for your client, but at the same time, yeah, you're also protecting the lender and making sure that you ask the right questions and do your due diligence. Because yeah, if there's ever fraud involved, real estate, there's a lot of fraud involved in real estate and mortgage fraud and et cetera, and that usually happens at the branch level. Like, you don't hear about that. It doesn't get into the newspapers, but if there's funny business going on, it's usually at the branch level, because yeah, if they know how to manipulate the systems internally, then yeah, maybe they can put through deals. Like, I've had clients come to me and I look at their file when I was a mortgage broker and say, yeah, there's no way a bank's going to do this. Well, I went to my bank and they got it through. Okay, well then they're not following their own rules, because I have, Rule 106 right here. Your beacon score is too low to qualify. So if they qualified you, okay, how did they, manipulate that system or the internal system to make it work? So that can happen on the rare occasion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always say, yeah, if you're into some funny business, yeah, you better go to the branch, because and hope you can get, bluff your way through it. So.
Well, I mean, there are times where the bank can, they've got a little bit more wiggle room within their own rulings. We're not going to call it shenanigans, or I won't call it, but there are times where they can pull out a magical approval that really shouldn't happen through their rules.
Yeah, if they can manipulate the rules, then yeah, they make the rules, they can break the rules. And that's always, I know it's always frustrating for mortgage brokers when, yeah, you're given a set of rules to play by, and then the rules change, at the branch level, because they make the rules, they can break the rules. But a lot of it, comes down to the audit process as well. Some of the banks don't audit deals when they're submitted. Like, as a mortgage broker, your deals get audited by the underwriter at the time of submission. So they're checking everything. Some of the banks, they don't audit. They'll pull files after the fact and then go back and audit it and say, oh, wait a minute, we were missing this, or this wasn't correct. Well, it's too late at that point to take the money back. So, there's a few banks that are famous for that. Yeah, they don't audit. So yeah, if a guy's good, whoever's submitting the documents, if they can bluff their way through, then great. And I've had it happen to me. I'll be quite honest with you. I've got, bought rental property and going to the bank, and yeah, I'm going to have this rental property. Oh, Bruce, let's not call it a rental property. Let's call it a second dwelling. We'll call it a second dwelling. We'll get you a better rate. Okay, that's, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but again, as a mortgage broker, you can't, mislead and lie to your lenders. You have to be forthcoming with them. So at the branch, like, again, they can sometimes do things that maybe they shouldn't do, but.
So I'll give myself a little bit of a shameless plug here. I've been told that I explain the process a little bit more in depth than perhaps the explanation that people get at the bank. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, I would share that. I think that people will say, well, yeah, they've asked for information but not told me why I need it. And the mortgage brokers are always good at explaining, yeah, why certain information is required and also how the process works. Like first-time home buyers, they don't know that, what a mortgage approval is. They'll do a pre-approval and think that they've got a mortgage. Well, no, pre-approval is just a piece of paper that says, if A, B, C, and D are correct, then you can get a mortgage. So going from the process of, pre-qualifying people, getting a conditional mortgage, making sure all the terms are met, getting the final approval, and then even explaining, how the lawyer is involved in this or how the insurance company is involved in this. So, I think mortgage brokers tend to give more of an A to Z type description of how that whole process happens, especially for first-time home buyers. I think that's invaluable because it is, it's the biggest purchase that you're ever going to make, and just sort of the lack of understanding of how the whole process works, that can be scary. So a good mortgage broker, will do that for their client.
Perfect. So we've had a little bit of a discussion about whether you should deal with a broker or a bank. Had a conversation with Bruce Smith here. You can reach him at Cass Management Group. You can find me at beckwoodfinancial.com, and hopefully you found this information useful, and have a fantastic afternoon. Cheers.